or they try to.
All right, we're back with Christopher Evans, VP from TrueFit. Quick segment here. You've been involved with a lot of startups, both personally or as a partner. What would you say, in hindsight, some of the ones that didn't work out or didn't meet their full potential? What were some of the key aspects, bullet points that you can go back and say this is basically what prevented them from really meeting full potential?
Well, we talked earlier about how important the market is. And it would be an understatement to say that market is everything. Some of the startups that I have seen that have failed to launch have kind of lost their way once they got a little bit of success. It is very, very dangerous. Success actually breeds complacency, and complacency, breeds failure. I don't know who said that. I think it might have been Scott McNeely of Sun Microsystems years ago. So paranoia is your best friend. I've seen companies that can do a really great job from going to $0 to $10 million, but somehow they just fail to get off the tarmac to that next level, or they try to grow too fast.
People say, the simple way of explaining that is, you're either growing or dying. I can't tell you how many times we've sat at this table doing interviews and people go, you're either growing or dying.
Yeah,
but I think this is a better understanding is people have success and then kind of sit back and, do the old, that's right. And then they get complacent, and then the next minute they know.
Or they get too aggressive, Brad. Sometimes they want to go into new markets, and they're not ready because they haven't matured in a market they've intended to go to. Or they start clouding the vision of why they started in the first place. And all of a sudden, the investment community can get, you can lose them very quickly when they see you're getting away from where you ought to be. I think another big piece that can be a danger for a company when it starts is, again, kind of misreading signals in the marketplace, failing to innovate, failing to adapt. I think of legendary companies like Polaroid and Kodak, which should never have ended up on the ash heap of history, and they probably, Kodak is on their way. Yeah. These are companies that failed to
innovate. I went to school upstate New York. Kodak used to be...
Yeah, it was special. Yeah. It was an all-American brand. It's sad to see this. Yeah. Big companies sometimes have a hard time innovating. It's like moving a battleship.
In the case of Kodak, didn't understand how digital was going to impact their world.
That's right. We talk a lot about signals of innovation at TrueFit and through our partners. There is an actual common language of innovation that's out there, a pattern that ideas like the iPhone, FedEx, iPad, game changers. All of those things are game changers in their own time, right? There's a common pattern that exists on how those products, those ideas, impacted the world. And what it has to do with is the relationships that are created by those ideas or modified or blown up in some cases, the ability for users to adopt the product model. How easy is it for me to use FedEx or the iPhone?
Yep.
The user experience is very, very important, not just with technology, but with any business model. And the other piece you always have to ask yourself in a business is, am I serving the true needs? Do I really understand the needs of the demographic that I'm selling to, that I'm marketing to? Am I doing anything disruptive or interesting? Or am I simply another mousetrap?
Yeah.
If you're not disruptive in the
What's your
marketplace...
differentiator?
Yeah. Otherwise, you are a commodity, and you'll always be playing games with pricing and delivery models that there's really no sure path to success. But if you have an opportunity as a company to succeed, it is, I think, part and parcel because you have a disruptive product.
What you just described, though, is probably, and we're sitting here, and at the time of doing this interview, Steve Jobs passed away last week, first week of October.
Yes.
He understood what you just talked about probably better than any CEO in our lifetime.
I couldn't agree more. Brad, losing Steve Jobs is a tragedy for the world. Steve Jobs has done more for innovation and for people than I think time will even reveals presently.
Yeah.
Remember in our earlier segment we talked a little bit about why people do what
Yeah.
they do. Steve never forgot why he and his team built Apple. It was about to build beautiful products that people wanted to use. It was about the user experience with Apple. It was always about that. And it was about changing the world through disruption, doing things you couldn't do. People didn't know that they wanted or needed an iPhone. Okay? Who would have thought? In our lifetime.
And the first day they went on, what was it? Bud's a big Apple guy behind the camera. What, 1 million the first day or something like that? They don't have enough to even to even fulfill. Bud's got his coming tomorrow.
I can't wait to see it. Mine's going to be here soon too.
Yeah.
I haven't ordered it yet. I got to get to it. But yeah, I mean, companies that fail because they lose sight of who they are, or they don't have a product or a service that's truly disruptive. And startups that I've been a part of, I think, had limited windows to maximize opportunities. In some cases did, in some cases didn't. But really, the ones that didn't make it just weren't doing anything disruptive.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, we're going to come back with Christopher Evans, VP of True Fit, and we're going to talk about... What are we going to talk about? Jimmy's looking at me like, I don't know what the hell we're going to
Leaving corporate America, right?
Yeah, leaving.
I try to do a nice pass off, and he looks at me like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I don't know. We're going to talk about leaving corporate America.
Corporate America, and what it means to leave that and start your own business.
And we're going to get Jimmy to stop drinking between segments.
Thanks, Brad.
Be right back.
I was explaining to Elizabeth.